Welcome to Barnet and the game London Crusaders against Keighley Cougars. Vital game for both clubs and the full sides. London Crusaders have got Andy Stute, the South African, at full-back. John Gallagher, the ex-Leeds player, is on the wing, the ex-Kiwi All Black, of course. Scott Roskell, Logan Campbell and Mark Johnson make up the three quarters. Leo Donovan, Mark Riley, the half-backs. Mark Riley, who scored a hat-trick last Sunday. And the forwards, Victor Timms from the Brisbane Broncos, Scott Carter, Dave Rotherham, Steve Russell, Sam Stewart, the New Zealander, Neville Ramsey, the two substitutes, Dyson McIver and Chris Smith. The Keighley Cougars side, Wayne Race comes in at full-back. He, of course, started on the wing last Sunday against Castle, but reverted to full-back. Andy Stevenson and Phil Stevenson are the right-wing pair. Carlton Farrell and Johnny Walker, the left-wing pair. Martin Wood and Andy Ayres at half-back. Brendan Hill, Jason Ramshaw, Ian Gately, Stephen Hall, Kevin Marr, Mark Brooke-Cowden, and the two substitutes, Jeff Butterfield and Joe Buddy. The referee made the long journey from Workington, Mr. Gilmore. Keighley playing from right to left as we look at the ground, and the kick-off going to come any moment now. 5 minutes late, incidentally, the kick-off, with the Cougars putting the kick through, taken in the London Crusaders 20-metre line by Neville Ramsey, who played with Bradford Northern, if memory serves me correctly, and also one other West Riding club. Playing the ball, putting it in field. The Cougars going to have to meet fire with fire here and certainly dominate the early proceedings. The referee allowing that tackle to go on for quite a while. Martin Wood, one of the men involved, and the Crusaders trying to plough it down the middle. Crusaders had a bad time of late, and as I said, the Cougars desperate to win this evening to maintain their challenge for the First Division. London Crusaders still 10 metres inside their own half. Kick over the top. Could spell a wee bit of danger, but that one I think going to be safely taken by Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker taking it, the man who kicked through, the scrum half Mark Riley. So the Cougars with the ball for the first time in this game. Carlton Farrell. Force back a couple of metres. Jason Ramshaw to using Gately as the dummy runner. The ball going on to Stevie Hall. Blind side. Kevin Marr, just short of the halfway line. And the penalty kick being given to the Cougars. Quite a number of Cougar fans made the long journey to this ground just outside London. And that despite the bad weather that we know is going on up in Yorkshire. And Martin Wood with the task of putting the ball inside the London Crusaders half. Useful kick, 10 metres inside the London Crusaders half. Jason Ramshaw to take the tap. Ian Gately on the charge. A little bit like a rampaging bull. And the ball coming again in field. Short ball, Martin Wood going forward. Martin Wood, 15 metres away from the try line. Good work by Brendan Hill. Quick play the ball needed. The ball out to Andy Ayres. Marr going through, gets the ball to Carlton Farrell. Farrell's going for the line. One or two people feeling he'd scored, but being stopped a metre or so short. Walker to Ayres. Ayres giving a dummy, going for the line. Still that 2 metres short of that try line. The ball with Jason Ramshaw. Good ball to Martin Wood. Martin Wood, good long ball out. Could be a try here for the Cougars. In fact, again, being stopped just short. Wayne Race, the man who stopped Ramshaw, to Martin Wood. Martin Wood putting the kick through. And the referee signifying that in fact it was the sixth tackle, so the London Crusaders not yielding any points, and perhaps Keighley feeling, or at least their coach Peter Rowe feeling, that a try should have been the end result. Crusaders 5 metres short of their own line. The hooker Scott Carter moving the ball out wide, but this not the type of rugby that's going to cause the Cougars too much problem. One-man rugby. And the ball going to the left. Sam Stewart, it is a man who's played test match rugby. Also the skipper of this Crusaders side. Haven't seen anything of John Gallagher to date. And the Cougars again very quick in the tackling. Sixth tackle coming up. Only gained 20 metres or so, the Crusaders, and the kick over the top by a relatively new man in the side for the Crusaders, Dunivore. And it's Wayne Race again. Centre of the field. Jason Ramshaw getting it out to the wingman Andy Stevenson. Inside the London Crusaders half yet again, and Jason Ramshaw moving the ball out. Andy Ayres to Wood. Wood, long ball out to Carlton Faddle. Faddle got the man outside him, Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker doing well to get past the first man, but being taken. John Gallagher missing his tackle fairly badly there. The Cougars supporters feeling that perhaps a try should have been given for lying on. Mark Brooke-Cowden getting it back to Johnny Walker. John Walker going forward. Marred on the left, but the pass didn't come. And Andy Ayres to Martin Wood. Martin Wood to Ayres. Ayres getting the ball away. Good play by Steve Hall. Inside the 20-metre line. 6th tackle called by the referee. Martin Wood putting up the bomb. Full-back racing for it, and the full-back doing well, Andrew Stoup, who played for Wigan, of course, before returning to South Africa, then making the return journey, and he, on his form at Wigan anyway, a very, very useful player indeed. Crusaders still deep inside their own half, and the Cougars desperate to pen them down there, but more to the point, the Cougars anxious to get points on the board. Good take by the number 11, Steve Rosselin. He, a man who's got quite a good reputation in the world of rugby league. And again, the Crusaders with the 6th tackle. The ball with Stewart, who puts the ball down deep. Race racing after it, as is Andy Stevenson. Andy Stevenson, eventually the man who picks it up as well to get away from the first London Crusaders tackler, but the second man on the ball. Cougars driving the ball forward through Kevin Marr. Blindside move to Mark Brooke-Cowden. Mark Brooke-Cowden going forward. 1 or 2 planned moves made by the Cougars in Hyde Park this afternoon, and no doubt we'll see those as the game unfolds. In the meantime, Gately getting to the halfway line. Good break. Brendan Hill doing well. Short ball to Jason Ramshaw. Ramshaw tackled by Andrew Stoup. Getting up quickly, hopefully to play the ball. 6th tackle by the referee. Ayres going forward. Long ball out. Bad one. 6th tackle take, and the ball back to Wayne Race. Wayne Race also tackled. So London Crusaders again with the ball, and despite having all the attacking in these first 7 minutes of play, the Crusaders with nothing to show. And London Crusaders still penned inside their own half of the field. Tackling effective as the Crusaders trying to drive the ball. Up to the halfway line, the ball allowed to go loose, and the referee quite lightly allowing play to go on. The Crusaders going forward, the Keighley Cougars tackling not as good as it should have been, and the ball out left. Riley moving it out to Stewart. Stewart, short ball. Good tackle coming in, but the Crusaders moving the ball. First time they've done so in this game. Short of the Cougars' 20-metre line. Stewart, again, the effective cog in the wheel as far as London concerned. Referee signifying the 6th tackle. Going to see the kick over the top. Looks as though it might be hard. In fact, yes it is, it's gone dead. And perhaps there we saw some water coming up as the ball came to rest. And obviously the field, whilst it is playing well, is just that trifle damp. Nevertheless, the conditions infinitely better than they are up in Yorkshire. And big Brendan Hill going charging forward. Brendan Hill hasn't been feeling too well all day, but has decided to play. 2nd tackle, and the Cougars still bringing it in the blind side. Ian Gately doing well, puts the ball inside to John Walker. Good play by the Cougars inside the London Crusaders half of the field. Ramshaw to Ayres. Ayres getting that pass back to Steve Hall, and Hall 10 metres inside the Crusaders half. Andy Ayres. Can we see one of those dazzling tries from Ayres? Not this time. Mr. Gilmore signifying the 6th tackle. The ball going to Wood. Wood putting up the bomb, which goes high above the floodlights, making life difficult for Stoup. Stoup not knocking on. The referee signifying that the ball had gone backwards. In fact, from my vantage point, he didn't look to be playing it over the try line, in which case it should have been a drop out under the post, but the referee was a great deal nearer than I, and the Cougars again, as they have been repeatedly, tackling the Crusaders inside their 20-metre area. The ball coming out, Crusaders trying to drive the ball through their forwards. Made 20 metres, the 6th tackle indicated. Stewart going in front of the man with the ball and it coming to the stand-off half. Dunivor, Wayne Race taking the kick. Wayne Race racing across the face, coming forward, finding space, gets to the halfway line, and the Cougars fans more than happy with that. Ball in field to Mark Brooke-Cowden. Mark Brooke-Cowden does well to get it to Stevenson, out to his brother on the wing. He going forward. Huge shout of "come on Cougars" from gentlemen below us. Good pass from Gately to Ramshaw. Ramshaw 10 metres away from the 20-metre line. Martin Wood, good shot ball to Kevin Marr. Kevin Marr looking to get the pass out of the tackle. Steve Hall coming in support, but the pass never arriving. Wood to Ramshaw. Wood giving the dummy, nobody taking it. And this time it's Jason Ramshaw with the bomb. That one, a good one. The ball's gone loose. Can the Cougars get in for the ball? The answer is no. The London Crusaders again proving effective. Sam Stewart, the man who backed up his full-back to take the ball. And the Crusaders, as they have been throughout the game, basically, apart from once inside their own 20-metre, just getting out of it. But the Cougars still with no points to throw. 10 minutes into the game and the scoreline reading 0-0. And the chant "Cougars, Cougars" ringing around. Halfway line, 6 tackle for the London Crusaders. Good kick through by the hooker Scott Carter, and getting a well-deserved round of applause from the crowd as he finds touch on the Keighley Cougars 20-metre line. But the Cougars with the advantage that they'll have the ball and the head. The ball coming out, but the referee giving a huge blast on the whistle to the effect he wasn't happy with it. A little bit unusual in these days of rugby league scrimmaging. And in fact, one against the head. That really is unusual. The Crusaders coming forward. Andrew Stute, the full back in the line, 10 metres away from the Cougars line. The ball coming out. The Crusaders effecting going forward. Good strong tackle coming on Scott Roscoe. Quick play the ball into the open side. And this time the Cougars are going to have to be careful. Was it a try? The referee denies it. It was the number 10 Rotherham who went forward, but the referee was right on the spot. Chance here though as the Crusaders again going for the line, and a sudden transformation, and the Cougars under pressure. Might be a try here from Neville Ramsey, but he too held up, and the ball gone loose. The Cougars breathe again, and Steve Hall comes away with the ball to give them a wee bit of relief. For the first time, the Cougars put under pressure on their own line, doing well to hold out London, who, it has to be said, on at least 3 occasions looked as though they may have scored. And compliments to the referee, who is immaculately placed, and it's Steve Hall looking to part in field. Presumably the referee shouted held. Jason Ramshaw to Gately. Gately though slipping as he gets over the 20-metre line. And this time it will be big Brendan Hill having a tilt. Hill going forward, turning round. The thought is he might transfer the ball, having a bit of trouble with the hooker, and the ball into the middle of the park. Mark Brooke-Cowden doing well, not the best of passes. Ayres knocking on. So a scrum down 15 metres inside the Keighley half of the field, and the advantage will be with the Crusaders. Mark Riley coming across to put the ball in the scrum. And the Cougars, for the first time in this game, under a bit of pressure. 14 minutes of this game gone. One or two people shouting offside, but I think the London Crusaders man Neville Ramsey, who took the ball, took a long time in getting there, but the Crusaders are charging forward. And Cougars having to tackle Cougars 20-metre line, ball on the blind side to Sam Stewart. Sam Stewart have made the gap. There might be a try here. The forward pass is given. The try has been disallowed, but that spells danger for the Cougars. The referee immediately gave the forward pass, but Sam Stewart it was who made the break, and it was the big man Scott Roskell who actually went in for the try, which was immediately disallowed. Cougars with the ball. Andy Stevenson coming into the stand-off half position to take it. And the Cougars plying it away with their forwards. This surely where they'll win the game if it comes to it. The ball coming out and the Cougar tremendous tackle coming in. And Kevin Marr has lost the ball. The touch judge has indicated to the referee that it was a knock-on. The referee looked at the touch judge on this side, and the touch judge perhaps wrongly indicated that there was a knock-on, and the referee under those circumstances had to give the scrimmage and give the favour to London, and the penalty for offside. Ian Gately, I think, the man who's been given offside. Going to be interesting to see if John Gallagher will have a kick at goal. During the years he spent at Headingley, was never the first choice kicker, but down here at the Crusaders has kicked a lot of goals in his short time with them. And now again the Crusaders under pressure, or the Crusaders rather putting Keighley under pressure. Dave Rotherham going forward. The ball into the centre of the field to Riley. Sam Stewart, short ball back to Neville Ramsey. The ball going out. Good tackling by the Cougars over on the far side of the field. And again it's the stand-up half Donegal being used as the pivot. And again the Cougars swarming into the defence. But certainly where the initial 10 minutes were with Keighley, now it's London who are charging forward. Carlton Farrell missing his tackle. And Logan Campbell looking for a moment as they'd made the break, and Kevin Marr doing well, or Steve Hall doing well to get across. This time it's the hooker Scott Carter, stopped 5 metres, if that, away from the Keighley try line. The ball to Riley. Riley with a little kick through. Can he win the race? The referee says no. One or two people feeling there was an obstruction on the London Crusaders scrum half, Mark Riley, but the referee again was immediately adjacent to where the ball landed and had no hesitation in saying that it was a Keighley man who put the ball dead, and it was a dropout under the post. Martin Wood, the man to take it, not the best dropout this season by any means. Logan Campbell picking it up and going forward, and Mark Brooke Cowden and Jason Ramshaw on the mark. Certainly Keighley having to do a lot of tackling. Steve Rosalind, the second row man, the last man to be tackled. Riley moving out right to Donegal. Donegal getting the ball out wide. Surely a knock-on. And the referee agreeing with the Keighley Cougars assessment of the situation and getting a well-earned round of applause. Ayres to put the ball in. Ball going into the scrum, coming out on the Keighley side. Ayres having a do himself, making the half break, beat the scrum half Riley. Tackled by the forwards, coming across. And Keighley making progress. Steve Hall, short of the halfway line. Ramshaw to Ian Gately. Gately getting the ball out to far, back to Gately, to Andy Ayres. Ayres, short ball to Martin Wood. Wood, good short ball. Wayne Race still going forward inside the London Crusaders half of the field. 0-0 here at the Barnet ground. Big Brendan Hill gets a good ball. Was there a tackle off the ball? Surely. Well, Brendan Hill let the ball go out. And my feeling was that the Keighley Cougars man was tackled before the ball ever got near him, but the referee didn't agree with my summary of the situation, so John Gallagher just playing the ball back, and the London boys inside their own half of the field. 13.5 minutes of this first half gone. Shot ball. One or two people shouting forward pass, but the referee not allowing it, and perhaps Carlton Faddle a trifle fortunate to get away with holding on there. Sam Stewart. And the bugle that's being blown a bit reminiscent of the hooter in actual fact. Ball going into centre field, and the London boys missing it. Their stand-off half Dunivor, who played his first game last weekend at Batley, being the man who was responsible. And Dare's having no option to go on his own, but the referee's signifying that 6 more tackles. So Steve Hall up to the halfway line. Ramshaw to Brendan Hill. Brendan Hill using his considerable weight and then turning round to try and pass out of the tackle. 4 men needed to finally put him down, and the Keighley fans feeling that perhaps somebody laid on. Mark Brooke-Cowden gives the dummy, can't get the ball inside to Jason Ramshaw. Short of the 20-metre line. One of the moves that's been practised, haven't it? Good kick by Wood. Wood going forward, but John Gallagher dropping on it. Was there a knock-on? In fact, the referee saying that John Gallagher touched it with his feet. And the Cougars still having perhaps the majority of territorial play, but still with no points to show. And the London Crusaders playing it in their forwards whilst they're in their own half of the field. 20 minutes of the game gone. Midway through the first half. The big number 10 Rotherham being eventually tackled. Brendan Hill, the man who knocked him down. Short ball, that's the danger ball. The London Crusaders coming through. There must be a try here. A try for the Crusaders. Good work by London Crusaders. The first try to them. They used the short ball to magnificent effect. And they went through the biggest of gaps, making light of the Keighley Cougars tackling. And London going through for their first. Roskell, the man who scored the try, and John Gallagher, presumably with the easiest of tasks to add the goal. And the Cougars, already aware of the hard game that they had in prospect during the daytime, now faced with the hard realities of life that they are 6 points behind. Roskell, John Gallagher, the man who kicked the goal, and the scoreline reading 6-0 in favour of Chris. In fact, my apologies there, the loudspeaker telling me it was Mark Johnson who scored the try, the wingman, and John Gallagher who kicked the goal. 6-0 to the Crusaders. Good kick-off by Keighley, finding touch. As we say, a good kick-off, but the net result is, of course, that despite the good kick, it is scrum and head to the London Crusaders. Bit of contention there. Penalty kick given to the London Crusaders. Certainly Keighley could have done with going against the head. And the kick taken by John Gallagher, finding touch on the running track. And the Crusaders driving the ball forward. Rotherham 10 metres inside his own half. 6-0. The Crusaders in the lead, and again the most enormous gap. Wayne Race missing his tackle. It's the big number 11 going forward. Surely a forward pass. Andrew Stoop going, and Stoop tackled 5-yard short. The man who made the break, Steve Gosling. And certainly an enormous gap appearing, and the Crusaders again making the drive for the line. 6-0 down, the Keighley Cougars, and London Crusaders finding gaps in the centre of the park. Good tackling this time as Logan Campbell tried to score under the post. coming on the blind. Sam Stewart getting the ball across. And the Cougars having to get in hard. Good pass to John Gallagher. John Gallagher going for the line, but being tackled 8 metres short. Referee indicated to Keighley he should go onside, and a bit of luck on Keighley's side there as the loose forward Neville Ramsey made a dreadful hash of that. And the penalty kick, I think, being given to Keighley, and indeed it has. Martin Wood. But certainly the tackling not of the best as far as Keighley are concerned. And Brendan Hill is making a couple of metres before being tackled. This time Steve Hall. But London twice in the last couple of minutes found the enormous gap. Mark Brooke-Cowden gets the ball in field to Gately. Gately looking to put the ball in field to Ayres, who was in fact obstructed, but the referee missed it. And Ayres bringing it blindside to Martin Wood. Martin Wood going round. Gets the ball away to Steve Hall. Steve Hall can't get away from the vice-like tackling stint that the London Crusaders are putting in. 6-0, a reminder, the Crusaders in the lead. And Brendan Hill. Brendan Hill charging forward like a titan. Plays the ball. Getting it to Martin Wood. Again the bomb going up. Stoop underneath it. Men racing after it but not getting there, and Stoop having no problem in not only taking the ball but getting away from some bad tackling. Brendan Hill having to dive across and take him. The referee, I thought for a minute, was going to penalise him, but allowed play to go on. John Gallagher coming to midfield from the wing. Tackled 8 metres short of the halfway line, and the Cougars going to have to sharpen their tackling. Sam Stewart to the halfway line before he's dragged down. Andy Ayres and Steve Hall. Ball in field to the big man, Steve Rosseland. Inside the Cougars half yet again, and the Cougars momentum, which was tremendous in the first 10 minutes, looks to have vanished. And again the tacklers not doing the job as they should. John Gallagher finding space, puts the ball in field, knock on by London, and the scrum down 8 metres away from the Cougars 20-metre line. It looks as though London Crusaders man is hurt. The referee has stopped the clock. For a moment it looked as though he was going to allow play to go on. John Gallagher, the man who's hurt in fact. But certainly the Cougars, if they're going to pull this game around, I'm not going to say out of the fire, are going to have to start knocking people down as they come in on the charge. At the moment the scoreline reading 6-0 in favour of London, and Ayres to put the ball in the scrum. Ayres getting it. Wayne Race coming in on the charge, but not finding the gap. 2 men closing it up. One of them Dunivore, the other Scott Roskell. Stevie Hall getting Marr away, marred as well to get it to Jason Ramshaw. Ramshaw getting the ball to Wayne Race, but certainly nobody breaking the tackle and looking dangerous. And Jason Ramshaw bringing the ball onto the open side. Ayres looking for the gap, does well, gets the ball to Wood, forward pass given by the referee. Perhaps a wee bit of bad luck as far as the Cougars were concerned. Ayres made the half break, let the ball go, and Martin Wood was adjudged by the referee to be slightly forward, and long ball out. Well, was Dunivore causing an obstruction? Again, it's Riley. Good strong tackle coming in on the far side of the park. Crusaders again with the ball going forward. Mark Brooke-Cowden half effecting the tackle and then fully completing it. Crusaders going forward. Scott Carter, the hooker, looking extremely dangerous, and now Dunivore moving it to Sam Stewart. Sam Stewart, surely an obstruction, but the referee allowing play to go on. Good tackle from John Walker on Rosseland. Ball right across the field. There is danger here. Riley, who's extremely quick, still going forward. Strong tackle, 8 metres short of the try line. Stewart putting the grubber kick through, the Cougars allowing it to go dead, but certainly they were infinitely more confident than I. Wayne Race obviously read the pace of the ball, and Jason Ramshaw getting it to Brendan Hill. Brendan Hill, oh, that was, well, one can only assume that the crew that shouted, might well be a try here. The Crusaders going in for their second try. Logan Campbell going in, and Brendan Hill, quite why he passed that ball, only he knows. I rather suspect that someone on the Crusaders' ball shouted mine. Ball came up. Ramsey going forward, with the scoreline reading 10-0 in favour of the Crusaders, and Brendan Hill in at the tackle. Sam Stewart crawling on hands and knees. The ground doing extremely well, and a short kick over the top. There's no one there as far as Keighley concerned, and luckily for them the kick went dead. Mark Riley, the little scrum half, who is one of the quickest scrum halves in the second division, racing after it, and Wayne Race nowhere to be seen. There was an enormous gap at the back, and Riley read the situation, forced over Keighley the ball just a trifle too strong, going dead. Tim's coming off, and Smith coming on in his place. Keighley fans still got faith in their team, and the long ball out to Gately. Gately can't get the pass round the man as he desperately tried to. Carlton Faddle was racing up in support. Big Brendan Hill having a tilt, but certainly nobody backing him up anyway, otherwise he would have had problems getting rid of the ball. And the ball going to Mark Brook Cowden. Cowden within sight of the centre spot. Jason Ramshaw with the long kick down, but that meat and drink as far as the Crusaders concerned. And Andre Stoop, the South African, played of course for Wigan before going home, saying he was homesick in fact, so quite what he's doing back here playing rugby league no one knows. But the facts are that the Crusaders are in possession on their 20-metre line and driving the ball forward. Quick play the ball, Sam Stewart coming forward. Two men on top of him. 5.5 minutes to go to half time, and the Crusaders in the lead by 10-0. Two tries, one in the 20th minute, one in the 30th minute, the first one being converted. And again, the Crusaders putting Keighley under pressure. Good catch by Wayne Race. Wayne Race getting away from the first two defenders and giving the Keighley people something to shout about. And this time it's Marr doing well, gets the ball back. Carlton Faddle going through. John Gallagher getting in the way of John Walker as he tried to come up in support. Quick play the ball to Andy Ayres. Andy Ayres moving the ball out to Stevie Hall, but Stevie Hall taken both below and above, so no way he could part with the ball. And Brendan Hill's head jolting back as though perhaps he caught a stiff arm, but the referee saying nothing wrong. Martin Wood throws the ball back to Gately. Gately does well, I was going to say, but in fact not the best at passes, and Keighley losing some 10, perhaps even more metres in the progress there. Stevenson going forward. 6 tackle indicated by the referee. The Touchage had his flag up for an unknown reason. Jason Ramshaw doing well to get the kick up, but Stoop having an eternity of time to take the ball. Steve Hall doing well to tackle him, but the sad facts of life for Keighley are that the London Crusaders are in possession. Keighley had all the play in the first 10 minutes but didn't put any points on the board, and since then London perhaps had the better of the territorial war going on out there. Smith going forward, the substitute, on the place of Victor Timms, who came from the Broncos, Brisbane Broncos. Ball in field to Sam Stewart. 6 tackle indicated by the referee, 10 metres inside the... And the long kick through. The London man racing after the ball is miles offside, and the referee hasn't given it. But he literally was 6-7 metres offside. In the meantime, Wayne Race getting to the centre spot in the 20-metre line and playing the ball to Ramshaw. Andy Stevenson coming in and using his expertise as a wingman. Ian Gately, ever willing, coming forward. But certainly the Cougars going to have to show a little bit more enterprise if they're going to get back in this game. Marr, and the 6th tackle given by the referee. Martin Wood with the kick over the top. Johnny Walker racing after it. Stoop taking his time, and that Johnny Walker doing well, in fact missing his tackle. Actually had hold of him, yet allowed him to get up and go into the centre of the field, where John Gallagher is at acting halfback. Stewart submerged by Keighley tacklers. 10-0, remember, the Crusaders in the lead. And that's surely the Cougars' ball. Yes, the Cougars are in possession. Brendan Hill looks as though he's hurt. Certainly had an arm injury last Sunday and did say earlier today that he had recovered from it, but at the moment being held down by the physio, giving him some treatment. And the scoreline reading the sad one of 10-0 for the Crusaders. Brendan Hill receiving a lot of attention. 2 tries coming in the 20th and 30th minute, one of them converted. So the Crusaders, who have to win this game if they're to stay in the second division race, are in the lead 10-0. And of course it's equally true that Keighley Cougars also have to, and Jason Ramshaw doing the unforgivable by knocking on in the position where he was under absolutely no pressure. So one would imagine that by that knock-on by Jason Ramshaw, any hopes that Keighley had of getting points in the first half have evaporated. In fact, Ramsey, the loose forward, taking the ball, getting it to Riley, who had come out slightly wide. And Riley, as I've repeatedly said, extremely quick. London inside the Keighley half of the field. Riley moving it to Sam Stewart. Sam Stewart going into the tackle and looking to release it. Mark Brooke-Cowden equally emphatic that he will not do so, but Riley moving it out wide. Stand-off half, Donegal. 10 metres inside the Keighley half, but a lot of ground being given from acting halfback. And certainly that looked a forward pass. The 6th tackle indicated by the referee. Ramsey going for the drop goal, and it proving effective. So on the stroke of half time, a drop goal by the loose forward Neville Ramsey, and the Crusaders 11-0 up. The scoreline in favour of London, and it has to be said that apart from the first 10 minutes, Keighley not looking dangerous as regarding scoring points. Haven't had a penalty yet with a shot at goal, and that again surely a knock-on, but the referee allowing the Crusaders to play on. I think one thing that is perhaps peculiar is that Mr. Gilmore is now taking the correct positioning, but up to now has been standing in rather peculiar positioning at the acting halfback situation. And again, the Crusaders making mincemeat of some weak Cougars tackling. Kick through. Surely not. Surely the Cougars aren't going to give a try away, but again, the defence at the back by the Cougars. Somewhere someone was missing totally, and certainly if London had had a wee bit more luck with the kick, then more points could have been theirs on the board. Steve Hall, the hooter goes, and I rather think that the Keighley lads will be pleased to get into the dressing room, but they are trailing by 11 points to 0. Second half about to start, and a rather dismal reminder that the Cougars are trailing by 11-0. Brendan Hill, I think, has been substituted. Presumably Joe Burry coming on the field, but as I say, Brendan hasn't been too well throughout the day, and certainly has been taking paracetamol most of the afternoon, even whilst training. Ian Gately coming on. Couple of tries. Johnson getting the first one, converted by Gallagher to make it 6-0. 30th minute, Logan Campbell scoring a try after Brendan Hill had had a pass intercepted. And certainly the general feeling around the ground is that the man who intercepted the ball was miles offside after running back from the Keighley 20-metre area, but the referee allowed play to go on, and a drop goal by Neville Ramsey on the stroke of half-time, finishing the scoring. Marr going forward, gets a good pass in field. Jason Ramshaw. In fact, my apologies, it's Burry going forward. Being corrected by the camera operator there, but beat him to it. And the Crusaders miles offside. Certainly Keighley need points in the early moments of this game if they're to get back into this game. Martin Wood looking up rather hesitantly before he elects to take the kick, and John Walker for a moment was coming in off the wing to take it, but Martin Wood deciding that he can find touch. The ball on top of the Keighley dugout. Peter Rowe looking on, and the ball to Gately. Gately to Wood. Keighley trying to move the ball out wide and make the crash down the centre. Ramshaw getting the ball out to Marr. Marr short of the 20-metre line. Gately gets the ball away. Is there a chance here for Keighley? Surely, yes. Is the try going to be given? No, he's tackled him a couple of metres short. The referee saying 6 more tackles as far as Keighley concerned. Wood getting the ball away. Oh, and again, Keighley totally at 6s and 7s. A dreadful hash being made of it. And the Crusaders in possession on their own 20-metre line. Well, as in the first half in the early minutes, that was a gilt-edged chance for Keighley. They didn't take it. And I'm sure Peter Rowe is beginning to wonder whether or not it is their night. In the meantime, London taking the ball to within 10 metres of the halfway line through Dave Rotherham, their big number 10. Sam Stewart going forward inside the Keighley half of the field. The ball out wide. Riley, the little man, get it to Russellan, and he tackled 10 metres inside Keighley's half of the field. 6 tackle indicated by the referee. The kick down. Wayne Race racing after it. But the ball, I think, going to beat everyone. The touch judge's flag on high, and it will be the scrum down 5 metres away from the Keighley line, with Keighley, of course, having the head and ball. But one remembers in the first half when they had a similar opportunity, and London in fact took the ball against the head. Ayres to put the ball in. The referee blowing his whistle, the ball coming out, and Ayres looking to come close to the scrimmage. Makes a few invaluable yards. John Walker over the 20-metre line before he's dragged down. 4 more tackles to go. And again the short pass to Steve Hall, and a thumping tackle coming in by Smith. Gately. London tackling well. Crowd not too happy with the way Gately was held down, and Marr getting to the halfway line before he's taken by the number 10 Rotherham. Back on the field, long kick down, taken by the fullback Andre Stoop, and he's through. Well, that is dreadful tackling by Keighley, and Stoop taking the ball inside his own 20-metre area, gets over the halfway line before he's eventually tackled. The hooker moving it to Sam Stewart. Again, London looking extremely dangerous. Stewart putting the ball into midfield to Rosslyn to the 20-metre line. 11-0, London in the lead. Scott Carter getting it to Ramshaw getting the ball away, and the London boys inside the Keighley Cougars 20-metre area, getting up to play the ball. Riley, long pass out to Dinevor. Keighley. Stoop again, looking as though he might get out of the tackle. The referee signifying 6 tackles. The ball going into midfield. Ramsey puts up the bomb, and nobody from Keighley making the slightest effort to go after it. It was taken by Smith, the London man, who threw it into no man's land, and forced it for Keighley. A man took the ball. Phil Stevenson making a few metres. Ayres getting the ball back on one of those crisscross moves that's been practiced throughout the day. Scoreline still reading 11-0. Ayres to Gately, back to Ayres. Ayres looking to make the gap, but the Crusaders using this shuffle across defence system, and the kick by Jason Ramshaw, and Ramshaw absolutely flattened as soon as he kicked that ball, and yet both touch judges and the referee missing it totally. Stoop again, gives that dummy. This time no one took it, knocked him down. Getting up to play the ball, Ramsey, the number 13 Jason Ramshaw, back in action fortunately. And even from here one can hear Peter Rowe's comments to the touch judge on missing that late tackle. Ramsey getting the ball back, and the Crusaders literally being allowed to dominate things out there in the middle. Sam Stewart over the halfway line before he's dragged down. 6 tackle indicated by the referee, and the scoreline still reading 11-0 in favour of the Crusaders. Good kick down. Wayne Race racing after it. Takes it over his own line and does well to manage to get back into the field of play before being tackled. Surely a head-high tackle, and the referee giving it. I have to say, I think that is the first head-high tackle that's been given to either side throughout the game. Kick by Martin Wood. Bury held just short of the halfway line. Ayres getting it to Steve Hall. But certainly the Crusaders, after the initial 10 minutes when they looked vulnerable, are now tackling admirably, and no one make the break of any sort. 11-0. The Crusaders in the lead. Martin Wood picking up the loose ball. Puts the pass eventually to Marr. Marr looking for support. No one there, backing up as he looked to part out of the tackle. The ball going out. Long kick down. Stoop, immaculately placed, takes it very, very easily indeed. This time though the Keighley Cougars coming across managed to get to the tackle, and Steve Hall hurt on the halfway line. Not the Cougars' night to date. 2 tries to London in the first half. Johnson, Gall and Campbell, one converted by Gallagher and a drop goal by Ramsey, making it the current score of 11-0. And the Cougars just not tackling. Really and truthfully, Logan Campbell there should have been tackled by at least 4 Keighley men, but somehow or other he managed to get away. Surely a knock on by Ramsey, and the referee agreeing. Quite why the London Crusaders fans are stood up objecting to that, the good Lord only knows, because certainly it went well forward. Ball going to the scrum, out to Martin Wood. Martin Wood getting it away to Stevenson. Stevenson, for once, getting around his man and making the half break. Gets to the halfway line. Quick play the ball, and now the Cougars inside the London half of the field. Andy Stevenson that time. This time it's Ayres. Well, looked as though it might be a forward pass to Gately, but the referee allowing play to go on, and Bury making the next charge. And at least the Cougars putting a bit more into it at the moment. Ayres to Wood, back to Mark Brooke-Cowden. Mark Brooke-Cowden going forward, but no forward projection made. Ayres getting it to Jason Ramshaw. Ramshaw putting up the bomb. Martin Wood racing after it. Immaculate take by the full-back. In fact, not the full-back, that was the scrum half Mark Riley who took that ball. And in fact, re-correction, because it was my first Andrew Stewart. And the penalty kick has in fact been given to Keighley, even though they regained the ball. Now surely they're going to take the short tap here. Martin Wood, long ball out to Carlton Farrell. Carlton Farrell coming in field, but Sam Stewart, who to my mind was offside anyway when the play the ball was made. Keighley desperately needing a try if they're to get back into this game. 5 metres away from the try line, at least the Cougars getting close. Ramshaw, good ball to Martin Wood. Martin Wood has scored the try. Good ball to Martin Wood, and Martin Wood underneath the post for the first Cougar points. So at last the barrier has been breached. Martin Wood going in for the try, and the scoreline 11-4 with John Walker surely about to kick this goal. Good short ball to Martin Wood, who came racing in, took the ball beautifully to race under the post. And the Cougar fans over on the far side showing their applause. And the scoreline reading 11-6. John Walker about to take the kick at goal. Comment that Steve Hall looks a bit dodgy out there at the moment. In fact, Brendan Hill has gone back on the field. John Walker taking his time with the kick. The kick effective. And the scoreline reading 11-6. The Cougars need a try and a goal if they're to get back in front in this game, or if they're to get in front at all in this game. And Steve Hall down on the touchline side receiving treatment. As I say, Brendan Hill going back out in the park, but at least the Cougars with some points on the board. The kick coming from John Gallagher, allowed to bounce, coming to a dead stop. And Keighley hopefully with a bit more life in them. They're certainly looking as though they might start to break the tackle. Seems to be a bit of doubt as to what Steve Hall. Jason Ramshaw perhaps should have brought the ball blind. 3 tackles to go, and the ball to Mark Brooke-Cowden. Well, it was a forward pass anyway, but Mark Brooke-Cowden was never meant to be the man to receive. It should have gone behind him. Certainly a lack of thought by Keighley in that situation and giving the advantage to the Crusaders yet again. Ball whistling out to Riley. Riley getting it to Donegal. On the Cougars 20-metre line, the scoreline reading 11-6. Neville Ramsey going forward. Still on the 20-metre line. The big number 11, Rosalind, being tackled inside the 20-metre area. And the ball into midfield. Mark Riley moving it wide. Long ball out. Knock on surely. The referee agreeing Keighley had the advantage. And Logan Campbell, the man who scored one of the tries in a similar situation, running onto the ball, this time making a hash of it. Peter Rowe shouting advice to his men. And Ayres getting the ball away to Marr. Marr driving forward. Still though inside the Cougars half of the field. Ian Gately doing well to take a pass which was difficult. Over the halfway line, 2 tackles to go. Brendan Hill going charging in. 6 tackle indicated by the referee. Are we going to see the bomb? Certainly, the ball coming wide and Martin Wood putting it up. Stoop with a lot of time to take it, just catches it with his foot. Certainly adept, getting away yet again, Stoop. And the tackle missed up to the halfway line. Stoop still going forward. Martin Wood with the kick and no one racing through to ensure that the tackling was made. Mark Riley going from acting half-back 8 metres inside the Cougars half of the field. And Riley putting it to Sam Stewart. Sam Stewart going forward and certainly Keighley not putting the men down to the grass. Neville Ramsey had Riley alongside him, but he elected to go on his own on the Keighley 20-metre line, 11-6 in favour of London. And the ball coming to Sam Stewart. Sam Stewart putting the ball in field, knock on. Rotherham, the number 10, the man who knocked on, so scrum down. And in fact the referee giving the scrum down with the advantage to Keighley, of course, and substitution. 2 substitutions going to be made. McIver and Timms coming on the field for London. And the Cougars to hopefully get the ball out of the scrimmage. Wood getting it to Race trying to get away from the new man who's just come on, McIver. Middle of the field on the 20-metre line. And again the Cougars trying to ply it down the middle, being taken by the tacklers. Mark Brooke Cowden, the man who was tackled, and Kevin Marr being taken by Sam Stewart. Brendan Hill. Can we see a break from Brendan Hill and get the ball out of the tackle? The answer is yes, he's got the ball out of the tackle, and Ayres going forward practically the halfway line before he's dragged down. Jason Ramshaw getting it to Gately. Gately back to Ramshaw. Inside the London half of the field yet again, 11-6 the scoreline, and Gately having a long hard look at the touch judge as though feeling that perhaps he should have had a penalty. 6 tackle indicated by the referee as Brendan Hill is knocked to the turf, and the short kick over the top by Wood. Wolf goes racing forward, but a good brave stop by the Crusaders. Did well to drop on the balls. Martin Wood was going through quite legitimately, struck at the loose ball, and it's Neville Ramsey putting the ball in field to the big man Scott Roskell. But the Cougars appearing as though they're tackling better at the moment. The big man Smith and gets to the halfway line. Acting half-back situation again, good pass in field, the ball's gone loose. Can the Cougars regain it? The referee saying that there's a knock-on, 2 or 3 knock-ons actually, so the first offence will be the one that counts. We've just had 19 minutes of play in this second half. 11-6, London in the lead. The Cougars desperately needing a try and a goal to get back in front. Bury just recovered from a bang, getting back, and the steam coming up from the scrimmage tells its own story. Andy Ayres going through. Andy Ayres up to the halfway line before it stopped. Getting up to play the ball. The ball coming out wide. Oh, not the best of passes, but not the best of passes by Marr, and London making the most of it. Sam Stewart moving the ball out wide. Mark Crowley's through the gap. He's got the wingman outside, but someone just tapping his ankles. John Walker, in fact, just getting there and tapping his ankles. And the Crusaders again looking dangerous. Keighley in at the tackle on their own 20-metre line. The hooker Scott Carter moving the ball out to Ramsey. Ramsey to Sam Stewart. Sam Stewart getting the ball away, but the tacklers, I thought, were about to let McIver through, but at the last minute recovered. Sam Stewart doing well though. Stoop over the 20-metre line, the sixth tackle indicated by the referee. Rather feel that we'll see the bomb here. Sam Stewart getting it. The bomb coming up, and that dangerous, brilliantly taken by Wayne Race. And Keighley breathe again. Dreadful error by Keighley. Mark Cowden, I think it was, who knocked on Andy Stevenson, in fact, so me maligning Mark Cowden, but the net result is that London Crusaders are in possession on their own line, and the mistakes that occurred against Castleford occurring again. The referee has given a penalty to Keighley for pushing out the play the ball. So after that error by Stevenson, London putting themselves out of business by a bit of nonsense at the play the ball. Wood putting the ball into touch. And Ian Gately going racing forward. Brendan Hill looking, hoping to get rid of the ball, but the tackle coming in at the last minute. Still playing it in the forwards. That time it was Marr who was tackled. Moving it to Wood. Wood looking to again make the gap, but Sam Stewart holding on to him. Just short of the halfway line inside the Keighley half. Again, blindside move. Wayne Race gave Keighley a brief moment of hope when it looked as though he'd broken the tackle. Sixth tackle indicated. Up goes the bomb by Martin Wood. And Martin Wood again flattened off the ball. And the touch judge on this side really have to say that he's incredibly useless because he's missed it yet again. However, he could only play to the whistle, and Crusaders in possession outside their own 20-metre line. One or two Keighley people having strong words with the touch judge, which is basically a waste of time, but one can understand their feelings. But the Crusaders threw Stewart over the halfway line before Sam Stewart tackled. Sixth tackle indicated by the referee. And the scoreline still reading 11-6. Kick now, going to be taken by Wayne Race. Wayne Race taking the ball. Tries to come inside two players, but London with tacklers in depth. If Gallagher kicks this, means that Keighley another substitution about to be made. Butterfield about to come on the field, and John Gallagher taking a long time in placing this ball for the kick at goal. Around 25 minutes of this second half gone. And John Gallagher placed the ball to his satisfaction. The referee has started the stopwatches going again, and Gallagher coming up with the kick it goal. Well, when you looks in, you looks in. It hit the bar, hovered in midair, and then dropped over the wrong side as far as Keighley were concerned. Kick-off taken by the stand-off half Dunny ball. (13-6), the Crusaders in the lead, and Keighley with a bit of a mountain to climb if they're to pull this one out of the fire. Certainly sharp hands doing that a bit quicker than the Keighley tackling. Sam Stewart going forward, he's had a good game this evening. Getting up to play the ball going from the hooker to the number 8 Timms to the 20-metre line again, and the ball on the blind side, kicked through. Keighley men racing after it, but the ball beating everyone. John Walker realising the pace, allowing the ball to go into touch, and the scrum down forming on the 5 metres from the scrum down. Ayres putting the ball in, and Ayres coming on the open side, but not bothering to pass and paying the penalty. And again Keighley playing it down the middle, and perhaps eventually going to have to take some chances. Gately gives the half dummy, goes through, but the big number 3 Scott Roskell followed him with the ball. Ayres giving a dummy, looking for the gap, can't get through it, and nothing coming off as far as Keighley concerned. Brendan Hill hitting Sam Stewart head on, knocking on as well, so they scrum down 5 metres inside the Keighley half of the field. The ball going in, coming out on the London side. London getting it to stand-up half Donegal. Donegal quite happy just to come forward some 10 metres. Knocking on, so they scrum down inside the Keighley half of the field, and Keighley with the advantage of the ball. 13-6, the Crusaders in the lead. Can Keighley launch a last gap challenge? Martin Wood trying his best, but being tackled short of the halfway line. Bringing on the blind side, and Mark Brooke Cowden making some progress, getting away from Neville Ramsey, losing the ball. The penalty kick's given, stealing the ball by Ramsey. Ramsey having a word with the referee, and perhaps that one thing that the referee has been guilty of, allowing players to back chat him throughout the evening. And Jason Ramshaw urging his men on, Gately as ever, being the first man to take the ball. Loses it, but manages to get it back to Ayres. Ayres getting the ball away. Stevenson going forward. Phil Stevenson short of the 20-metre line. Mark Brooke Campbell inside the 20-metre area for the first time for what seems an eternity. Jason Ramshaw going to move the ball left. Wood putting the ball in field, but still the London Crusaders cover, getting across to cover the man with the ball. Certainly seemed to be holding for eternity. Ball coming across, Burry doing well, Gets the ball away to Stevenson. Infield to Wayne Race. Wayne Race. Did he cover across two men? The obstruction is given. And again, a Keighley man is knocked down after the ball has been passed. And again, Peter Rowe protesting to the touch judge. And basically, must be said, he has a point. Ten minutes to go, and Keighley looking in desperate trouble. Tim's going forward, being stopped by Brendan Hill. Burry coming across to add his weight to the argument. Not one of the Cougars' best evenings. Give a bit of an aftermath after the Castleford game, but London coming away. Ramsey gets the ball to Riley. Riley going for the line. A good tackle, and he loses the ball. Got to be a knock on. The scrum down will be given in favour of Keighley, and that good work by both sides. Riley looked a certain scorer, looked to be going for the line, but a good tackle coming from behind not only caused him to be tackled, obviously, but also to lose the ball. So Keighley will have the advantage at the scrimmage, trailing by 13-6, 11-0 at half time. 2 tries plus 1 conversion plus a drop goal to the London Crusaders. And in the second half, Wood gave Keighley a little bit of hope, scoring under the post, converted by Walker, but then a penalty goal by Gallagher made it 13-6, which is the clear score. Gately going forward. Brendan Hill desperately trying to make the breaks and get the ball away to the backs, but not being successful, and Keighley again pulled down inside their own half of the field. The referee signifying the 6th tackle. Martin Wood putting up the kick towards the corner. Stoop and John Gallagher racing after it, and John Gallagher the first man there. Gallagher to the 20-metre line before he's dragged down. Getting up to play the ball eventually. And for a moment looked as though McIver, the substitute who's on the field, had knocked on but managed to regain the ball, and Crusaders, one suspects, within sight of a very valuable victory. Sam Stewart going forward, only some 6 or 7 minutes left. Ramsey going forward. To the hooker, Scott Carter hooks the ball back, and the long kick down going to eventually be taken by Stevenson. Stevenson looking to try and make the break, but the Crusaders very aware as to when the kick was coming across and very quick into their tackling routine. Butterfield tackled. Ramshaw moving the ball to Ayres, getting the ball into the centre of the field, but so many times this evening it seems to have died in the middle of the field without being go to the wings. And surely at the moment, Keighley, nothing to lose, have to try and play adventurous rugby to try and get back in the game. Ramshaw getting it to Wood. Wood with the inside pass, and again, my apologies for using the word again so many times, but certainly it seems that the majority of the time the ball being turned inside and the Cougars falling to the tackle. Stoppage, as someone injured out there in the middle. Ramshaw going to play the ball. Moves the ball out wide to Martin Wood. Martin Wood puts up the bomb, but these have been meat and drink to the full-back Stoop in this game, and again, not only takes the ball, but runs away. Was there an obstruction? Yes, there was. Andrew Stoop looking a little bit in astonishment, as indeed are the London Crusaders fans. But one would imagine that the referee had no alternative other than to give the obstruction, and it's Joe Burry going forward. A try desperately needed if the Cougars are to launch an attack. Gately underneath the post, 10 metres away from that elusive try line. Ramshaw getting the ball, going to bring it blind. Long ball out, Barbara Counted goes in. Are we going to see the Cougars get away with this one? I think it's virtual impossibility, but Mark Brooke-Townden at the least has given them a little bit of hope. There are 5 minutes left and the scoreline reading 13-10, so at least there is a little bit of hope as far as the Cougars concerned. But if they get away with this one, then basically everything's on their side. John Walker taking his time when perhaps he should be getting on with the thing, but there are 5 minutes left and Mark Brooke-Townden has scored a try. That all came when London obstructed inside their own 20-metre area, and the kick, which for a moment looked as though it was going up through the uprights, ruled to have gone just at the side. Well, are we going to see a grandstand finish? (13-10) and we're in the dying minutes of the game. John Gallagher about to kick off from the centre spot. And it has to be said that the Cougars haven't put on one of their best performances of the season. Even so, there is the slightest possibility that they might get back into this game. Burry getting to the 20-metre line before he's dragged down. And Butterfield doing a torpedo run to take it outside the 20-metre area. Wood got players outside him. Big Brendan Hill. Good tackle down at his ankle. Stopped him by Sam Stewart. Ball in field. Halfway line and Keighley with the ball. Butterfield. Again, that torpedo type run trying to go under the defenders. 6 tackle indicated. Martin Wood puts up the kick. Stoop racing after it. So too is the wingman. Stoop the first one to take it. First time I think he's been tackled in possession from the kick through, so he playing the ball. And the Cougars desperately needing another by London. Oh, and they made it. Martin Wood, they've got to move the ball out wide. The try surely there for the taking. Going for the corner. The Cougars have been given a forward pass. The referee has given a forward pass. The referee has ruled that the final pass was forward. Well, that really is incredible. The referee has ruled that the final pass was forward. From here it looked good. The try was there, but unfortunately the referee has said at the last minute that the pass was forward. So the Cougars, who looked as though they got out of jail with that try, now have it all to do again. The referee has, I don't know what the referee did. London with the ball on their own 20-metre line, and really I suppose that typifies the Crusaders' night, because I suppose they've never really looked like losing, and yet Keighley, without playing well, should have pinched it at the last minute. McIver getting up to play the ball, and the ball coming on the blind side to Sam Stewart. Sam Stewart being well tackled, 6 tackle indicated by the referee. Martin Wood racing after Stoop. Stoop managing to get the ball down deep. Going to be taken by Butterfield. Butterfield tackled 5 metres outside the 20-metre area. Quick play the ball. Cougars coming forward, can't pass the ball. Still inside the Cougars half. Still the scoreline reading 13 points to 10. And if only is the message. Mark Brook Cowden getting it out to Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker tackled into touch. And that perhaps the last Cougar chance gone. Andre Stoop getting the Man of the Match award. And certainly looks as though it's going to be a long, long journey back to Yorkshire after this game. London again in possession, and if only will be the big question asked on the bus going home, because certainly I think all of us felt that the Cougars had stolen it in the dying moments, only for us all to realise that suddenly the referee had given the forward pass. London still with the ball and obviously quite happy to keep possession. 6 tackle indicated by the referee, and the kick over the top. Butterfield racing after it, taking the ball, going forward, so the hooter goes. Half-time 11-0 to London. Couple of tries, 1 conversion and a drop goal. Second half, Martin Wood short a try converted by Walker. 11-6, a Gallagher goal, 13-6. Mark Brook Cowden try, 13-10. And then, was it a forward pass? Will be the question asked from now until the journey back home ends in Keighley. Final score, London Crusaders have beaten the Cougars 13-10.